Hey friends, welcome back to More Than a Mortgage. I am your host, Gavin Sessions, and this podcast is one of the most fun things I get to do. We are in the process of actually identifying and niching down to our audience, which we believe to be entrepreneurs in the real estate adjacent space. So that's a mouthful. Hopefully it makes sense to you. But our goal here is obviously to tell stories of our guests, but also to provide value for you folks in the that we would consider entrepreneurs, myself included, as well as our guest, Chris Flexhaug, here today. Chris is a friend of the show, great guy. He gave us the honor of hosting him on the show about this time last year, and we spent the better part of an hour telling his story, which is great. And I had the privilege of listening back to that story today. One of the things he teased during that episode, which we did not discuss, was stand-up comedy. So I thought it'd be really fun to start today's episode with stand-up comedy, and we're just going to get into it right there. So Chris, tell us what it's like to be a stand-up comedian.
Well, I will say it's amazing. Yeah, it's an interesting thing over the years. Ever since I was a little kid, people are like, oh, you should do stand-up. You should do stand-up. And I never did it until I did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting. I had a couple of friends and I was trying to figure out, how do you get started? They suggested just write some jokes out and then, go to a comedy place and do it.
Yeah.
So I started out doing what they call bringer shows. So you have a bunch of buddies you invite to the show. They have to buy a couple drinks, and then you just start doing it. And I had no idea when I started, but it was the Comedy Store. So it was a huge venue. And at the Comedy Store, there's a main room, there's an original room, and there's a belly room. So the main room is the biggest room. It's this giant room. The belly room is tiny. I need a lot of space because I like to move around when I'm up there. But yeah, it was so interesting. I just started doing shows, and I remember coming out, and the nice thing of it is it's a bunch of your friends, right?
Yep.
So they laugh no matter you're funny, you're not funny. Usually they're laughing. But yeah, it was so much fun. And yeah, I did a few shows and it was too long-winded, not great. But as I did more shows, I started kind of cutting it down and doing better. And I think it was the fourth show that was probably my best show. And that was a show somehow double booked. So maybe 120 people there, and it was just phenomenal. So much going on, and it was a good show. And I had my new best friend, Sheila, in the audience, front row, and she and I were just connecting, and it was so much fun. And it was interesting because if people don't laugh, it's not great. It's just not great. But yeah, there were times where I'd have to pause because there was so much laughter, which was just phenomenal. So stand-up comedy, I would say anyone and everyone, if they think they can do it, they should just do it. Write some jokes and get up there. I guess there are a lot of open mics. I never did an open mic. I just started doing shows. And mostly I just did the Comedy Store. One time I did Sal's Comedy Hole or something. I think that's a Joe Rogan place. I think he was there all the time. Huh. I doubt he is there anymore. But I remember going there, and I think it was the fifth show. So here was fourth, the best show.
Yeah.
And now the fifth show, I'm thinking, it's just going to get better. This is going to be awesome. No. And the producer, he's like, oh, do you want to host the show? I'm like, no. It's like, well, no one else will do it. I was like, okay. Yeah, I'll do it. So I did it. And hosting the show, basically you're, introducing everyone, right? Yeah. So you have to know everyone's names. I'm like, I don't know any of these. So they tell you the name and you have to introduce them. And then I don't know at what point then I did my set, and there was just about no laugh. It was just so weird. And it was a very small place. The Comedy Store was this giant space. I don't know how many people you could seat in that main room, but I did shows in the main room. That one that I said was the busiest, that was the original room where there were about 120 people. But yeah, it was so much fun. And I would say probably I was not successful in it, because if I was, then I'd be, doing shows still to this
Yeah.
day. And part of what had happened is I became a dad, which happy Father's Day to all the
That's right.
dads.
Yesterday.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But I think becoming a dad, I just didn't have that extra time because it was more of a hobby than anything. But that being said, now that my kids are older, I may do it at some point. It is tough because real estate's also busy. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to, but I think it'd be fun. It's just a great way to get out there and just be silly.
Yeah. I mean, talk about the ultimate putting yourself out there. What possessed you to actually take that risk? Because I think most humans, if you said, hey, go do a stand-up comedy show and you're not a stand-up comedian, you're unpracticed, right? You might be funny.
Yeah.
But that's a big, huge risk to take because what if nobody laughs?
Yeah, that's a great way of seeing it. I think either you can do it or you can't, but even if you can or can't, you just do it,
Yeah.
right? And I think for the way in which I live life, I may not always be equipped to do anything but I'll just try. And I think probably that is something that a lot of people have that are in business. The way you often do well in business is you just try.
Yeah.
Right? If you think you can't do something, you probably can't. If you think you can do anything, there's a good chance you can. So if you have that positive mindset and you're just willing to try anything, I think that translates into any business. I think just life in general, enjoying life, part of it's just trying things. Yeah. Yeah. There was another part of that question. I forgot it.
I don't know. I think you answered it really, really well.
Yeah.
I would say stand-up comedians are a unique breed of people, right?
Yeah.
It takes incredible courage,
Yeah.
incredible bravery, or you just don't care what the audience thinks of you, right? I mean, they're going to vote with their laughter, right, or not, and that's going to have a direct impact on the longevity of your stand-up comedy career. I've got a good buddy who used to be a pastor.
Oh, wow.
Who is now a clean stand-up comedian. His name's Dustin Nickerson. We'll plug him here. He's so funny. He had a Father's Day bit he put on X yesterday. I was hooting and hollering watching it last night. But it's funny. He's a funny guy, right? And not everybody that's a funny guy has that that doesn't necessarily translate to a stage. But he's done incredibly well, and I just applaud him for that. And I would applaud anybody that'd be willing to try it, because I think worst case scenario, you don't laugh. But then I guess to your point, well, if that's the worst thing, then oh well.
Yeah. And I think that was something I was thinking about. You wonder who can do stand-up comedy. I think anyone can do it. Doesn't make them good at it or great at it. But I think it's just, you'll never know until you try. And I think everyone's worst fear is that someone won't laugh. And I did go through that where multiple shows where people didn't laugh. And it was just like, oh, okay. And you just kind of roll with it. And then if you have one show that you bombed at, and I had many, but it just takes one, you just feel like, oh, okay, oh, I did it, right? Once you kind of rip that Band-Aid off, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. And the flip side of it is when you have a great show or, multiple great shows, it's such a rush and it's such a beautiful thing to make people laugh. And I think if there was more laughter in life would be better. So many people are so concerned with this and that, and they're so serious with anything and everything. It's another thing that I recognize the way in which I try my best when I'm dealing in real estate. I will tell people this all the time and they kind of snicker. I want it to be fun. And I understand it's a giant thing that's going on, buying a home or selling a home, and people don't do it very often, but it's the way in which we, deal through the transaction that can make it great, or we can freak out. We can get a home inspection. There's a bunch of issues, but they're little issues, right? Sure. And so it doesn't matter which side I'm representing. It's just having those open conversations and listening and hearing where they are, but kind of guiding them to, maybe this is important, right? The
Yeah.
AC's out. That hasn't happened, but if it had, that would be something you want to fix. If there's little touch-ups of paint, it's like, Now again, if it's a brand new home, that's a different story because they do a blue tape walkthrough anyhow. But yeah, having fun in life and real estate is an amazing thing for sure.
Yeah, I love the parallels between fun things in life that are risks and challenges, right? Like being a stand-up comedian or giving that a go, and how that translates to business, whether that's real estate or some other business endeavor. I think it is a fantastic characteristic, right? To be willing to put yourself out there, to be willing to take a risk, to be willing to want to have people enjoy the product that you've created, right? Whether it's just your words and your jokes, or whether it's helping them to enjoy a real estate transaction, which, let's face it, they can be very complex and very stressful from time to time. So yeah, I would just say, go back and listen to Chris's story. It really helps set the stage, I think, for why you've been successful to date, right? And you've been doing this, I believe, for about 7.5 years at this point, correct?
2019. Yep.
That's a long time. And I think you said you've had the pleasure of helping 200 plus families. Is that also correct? Yeah, that's wild. That's a lot of experience that you've been able to have. Some of them easy, probably some of them challenging. We're not going to go back and reminisce on really any of them today. But our goal here in this conversation is we want to understand how that you've been successful, right? And so every good business book, every good business coach is going to say, hey, you got to do this, or you got to do that, or here's this process or that system, or do this or do that, or whatever that looks like. But I think there's lots of different ways to skin a cat, lots of different ways to be successful as a real estate agent or in a sales career, whatever that might look like. I think what we're most interested in hearing from you today is you do it differently, and we'd love to understand what it is you do differently and why do people love you?
Oh, I thank you for that question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just say no cats have been skinned.
That's good.
All right. Let's just be clear. There's no skinning cats.
That's good.
Yeah. I think my approach is different than other people. I'm guessing the way in which I do things is very organic. I know a lot of people, I believe you had asked me something about a CRM. I think there was some point where I did have a CRM and I don't use it. Yeah. And I don't have one at the moment anyhow. If someone's on my mind, I'll just check in with them.
Yeah.
As you're going through a transaction, there are a lot of points, there are a lot of check-in points. And something that's super important to me, I want to guide my clients the best I can, but I always want them to understand they're the boss. So they're the ones that are making the decisions, even though I am guiding them and giving them, valuable information. It's, and I think, again, that organic approach is, someone asked me one time, she had asked like, oh, well, how did you decide to call me? And I told her, you were just on my mind. So I thought, well, I'll just check in. She's like, well, it was just perfect timing. I thought, oh, well, I'll give that to the guy upstairs.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. And that's another part of business I think sometimes people don't realize. It's the follow-up portion. People don't like to follow up, or, oh, I don't want to bother someone. For me, my business is, helping anybody, but I do help a lot, or I have helped and currently helping a lot of 55 plus people.
Sure.
And I think that's a very different business. And I'm so grateful and blessed to be helping people in that group. And a few things that I recognize, because I worked for the builder and managed their 55 plus, I was sort of just thrown into that. So it wasn't something I picked. But what I love, many of the people in that 55 plus are so loyal to me. When I worked for the builder, I was often the agent on both sides, but occasionally there was a buyer's agent. They get their check and like, okay, bye. Yeah, never to see them again. And I was just there. If they needed help, I was at the model home. For years, I didn't know the model home hours. And it was afternoon hours. I kind of had a vague idea, but I was just there 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
And people would come in all the time like, oh, I see your clothes. I'm like, oh, I'm here. You're here. Let's do it. And they would just respect that I was there for them. And I think it's so important to be there for people. Some agents are very, oh, well, I work 8 to 5 and, I don't work this day or that day. I work always. Now, that being said, middle of the day, I can be gone for hours hanging out with my kiddos.
Sure.
And sometimes I'm too busy and I think, oh gosh, the person setting this up, it's me. I'm the one setting up the schedule. So yeah, there's no one to be bothered with. It's me. And some days are busier than others. But I think because I worked for a builder and got to know lots of people, whether they were my clients or not, many of them became clients, but better than that, they became friends and even better, family.
Yeah.
And I see my clients as family. And I tell them all the time, you're part of my family. And I remember working for the builder and someone mentioning, oh, well, Chris needed me to get this or that. And he said, we're family. So you're going to help us. So they're like, oh yeah, no problem. But those little things like that really stick with people.
Yeah.
And it's such a positive feeling. So much of what we do is based on feelings.
That's right.
And if you can create a positive feeling by just being there for people and helping, and it's simple if you love people, right? Real estate for me is the absolute best job I've ever had. And I don't see it as a job. It's helping people, number one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my intention, but it also was building relationships. Those relationships, and from anybody, but at the 55 especially, it goes back to that loyalty. I was just always there for them.
Yeah.
So if they need something, they're like, well, hello, Chris. Yeah, they go straight to me. So yeah, again, I think my business is a little different than others. But yeah, I'm just so happy to be where I am.
Yeah. Well, I think you love what you do. It's very
Must have outspilled this.
nice catch. It's very evident you love what you do. And again, kind of drawing back on the episode I listened to of our first conversation this morning, and you just said it again. It's like, hey, I do what I love to do. And
Yes.
even if it didn't pay you an income, you'd probably figure out a way to continue to do it. Now, there's a limiting factor there if we have to have income to live
Yes.
life, right? So who knows what that would really look like. But I think your approach to real estate is so people-centric and so personable and so about the relationship and the feelings of the client that I think you actually have built a business that you really don't even want to take a vacation from, which is a little bit wild, right?
Yes.
Because all of us do need time away. And you mentioned the flexibility you have to be able to step away during the day and go hang out with your kids or whatever that looks like. And it's you setting the schedule, right? Which again, so you're your own slave driver, right?
Yes.
And you are your own boss, for lack of a better
Yep.
word. Even though you say you're not the boss all the time, the client is
Do
the
have a
boss.
wife too.
Oh, that's right. And a wonderful lady she is.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what I'm getting at is it depends on where you want your business to go years down the road. For you, I'm going to put words in your mouth. Do you want your business to continue in the exact same way that it is right now?
Yes.
Or would you want to build a team and bring more people around you? And I guess I'm curious to kind of know where you want to take this, because I think your current approach is set up really, really well for how it is today. And I think your current approach might be a little bit difficult to scale. And that may not be what you want, right? So I think that's a really good point to key on is, what does Chris want out of his real estate career years down the road?
That right there is $1 million question.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest thing. So Grandpa Steve, which it's funny to call him Grandpa Steve. It's my mother-in-law's ex-boyfriend's roommate. We adopted this guy. Yes.
Mother-in-law's ex-boyfriend's roommate. Okay.
So not a very normal situation, but we just love him. He has asked me so many times, how, like, at what point can you no longer help? Like, at what point are you just too busy? And, because I'll be talking about, oh, this is going on and this is going on. He's like, well, you're not taking new clients, are you? I'm like, oh, yes, always.
Yeah.
He's like, well, but you're doing this. I was like, yeah, but then I'm also doing this.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wow. He's like, well, how will you know? I'm like, I don't know. It hasn't happened yet that I've gotten to a point where I can't help people. Now, that being said, there are occasions where I'm just crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much going on. Again, I'm the one booking everything, so there's no one to blame, but there is often just so much going on that it's prioritizing, right? What has to happen today? What could happen tomorrow? What could happen the next day? And I don't know what it is. I guess my mind must just be set in that way that's easy for me. Some people have a really difficult time deciding, oh, what should I do? That's just maybe how I was born or just how it is that, I can just do that. But it does become challenging sometimes when there's so much going on. And, let's just say from a listing perspective, I think this week I'm listing 3 homes on Thursday. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it might be better to sort of stagger those out, but I love listing on a Thursday because it gives people time, to kind of get the information and then conceivably show it on the weekend.
Yep.
But that being said, it's like, that's just one moment in time, right?
Yeah.
Next week, maybe I have no new listings and a transaction starts and there's a lot going on, a lot of work. There's a lot of paperwork I do and a lot of different things, phone calls, and you're figuring things out. But as it goes along the process, it's like you get the home inspection and these different things. Once you're past that, it's pretty smooth sailing. Now, people reach out to me all the time with questions, and I am very big into letting people know they can call me anytime. And, other agents may think, oh no, it's the work-life balance. For me, if someone has a question at 10 p.m. and I'm around and I see that message or I see that phone call, and my answer will get them to sleep that night.
Yeah.
But that's okay. And again, my family understands what it is that I'm doing. And it's all about communication, but being there for people in that way, they have such a huge amount of respect and gratitude. And I love that. The compliment that I've received a few times that means more than anything to me is someone will say, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And as we get older, time is important, right? You pick and choose who you want to spend your time with.
That's right.
Whether that be colleagues or clients or your family. And it's such a beautiful thing when you can be there for people at any point, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, it's, these hours of operation. And that's okay if someone else does it that way and it works for them, good, for them. And, the vacation I did, I don't take many vacations, but that being said, I do occasionally go, and I'm very much an adventure dad. And I got that probably from my dad.
Yeah.
And even actually my stepdad. And so I love taking my kids out and doing fun things. And of course I take my wife out too, but she often has to work, and I can just go out at different times. But I love adventures, going to the mountains.
Yesterday included.
Yesterday included. You were there. I was there. We didn't even know. I may or may not have gotten a flat tire 2 years in a row on Father's Day. Yeah,
Let's try
happens.
for next year. Let's just make sure you plan a mountain day, and maybe you'll get a flat tire.
Well, let me say it this way. It's not going to happen next year. It's going to happen the next year. It's every 2 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the first time it happened, we were just in Montana.
Okay.
Yep, that's all right. I love it that I knew that it was a low pressure tire monitor coming on before we're going to the river. We literally parked and I noticed it. And a lot of normal folks would probably say, well, shoot, better take care of this. I told my wife, I'm like, oh, the pressure monitor came on. She's like, do you think it's going to be flat when we get back? I said, I don't know. We'll find out. And we are getting excellent at changing those tires.
That's
the
good.
first time it happened, we didn't even know we didn't even know we had a tire. And then we didn't know where it was. And we got the minivan. It's like in the back, you have to like rip the wall out. Oh, there's a tire. You're like, oh, wow. A cute little donut.
This is a perfect stand-up comedy bit right here.
I know. And then you're like, where's the rest of it? On the other side, you rip this thing out and there's like a, I don't know, for the lug nuts. I don't even know what you call it. Some other little thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, where's the jack? Oh, well, you got to pull up those back seats. It's down here. You got to rip open this other thing.
Down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was so cool though. Oh, there was a skeeter situation. Mosquitoes. There were so many mosquitoes in that parking lot.
Ugh.
I got them like on my face, on my arms, on my neck. They were everywhere, but it was so amazing. Like, we go have fun and we were so zonked because we were out on the water a long time. And my daughter, she got so tired. I had to like tow her paddleboard.
Oh, been there.
Yeah. And so we got back and the tire's just flat as can be. Mosquitoes everywhere. Thankfully, we did have some bug spray, but it was so amazing. Like taking care of that, because we had done it before, we sort of had an idea, but you don't remember where everything is. Oh my gosh. But we were there in another minivan, the same color, cement, Sienna guys, pulls up. It's like, oh, do you need help? It's like, oh no, we're fine. This happened 2 years ago on Father's Day as well. He's like,
same vehicle.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that first time though, man, I ripped it up coming down a mountain. Yeah, it's like, it's like, there's like all these things going, you're just like, oh my God. My wife's like, oh, what's wrong? I was like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, got down to the bottom of the mountain. Probably shouldn't have driven on it for quite a few miles.
Yeah.
It was just shredded. So this one wasn't shredded at least, but yeah, nah, we got it on, got out of there. But you get kind of a little like, we were getting close to darkness too. I was like,
yeah. Well, it's a summer solstice last night, so it was light till almost 11 o'clock.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, this was probably around 9 or something.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about it, it's another example of life, and the way that we react is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
We could have gotten back to that car and been, crying or, oh, shoot, this is terrible.
Stress.
We didn't care at all. It was just like, okay, let's just fix it. No big deal. And what was so cool too, we were at that state park on the end of the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we kind of had to walk back and forth, and we had the paddle boards. And so the kids were kind of helping. And of course, we had to rip everything out of the car to get to all the parts.
Yep.
So it's just all strewn about.
You're having a yard sale in this parking lot.
Thankfully, no one was really around and no one wants our stuff. But it was it was just so interesting. And my wife, that's one thing I just love. We're such a team.
Yeah.
Like reading directions. Ooh. She's like gets the book out and reading this and that. And I was just like, oh, yeah. Thankfully, again, we've done it before, but yeah, she's just so good at sort of like getting everything figured out. And then I just kind of, had to, get the strength.
There you go.
I know that wasn't too much strength. But what was cool as we were doing this, the kids were going back and forth, like bringing still stuff.
Yeah.
There was a moose.
Oh, wow.
It was so cool.
In
I don't
the water?
know, maybe in the water, just like right from the path. And then at one point in time, the kids are like, oh, I don't think we can get the stuff right now. I was like, oh, okay. There's a moose in the path. I was like, oh, safety first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had to go back and forth a couple times just to see if the moose was there. Finally, it was gone, but there was such a stream of like water where it had, walked across the path. Oh, it was so cool. But that's the thing, the way, like just making, that was an example. We just had fun.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been fun, but we just rolled with it.
Yep.
And I think in life, and I think real estate especially, it's a lot of just rolling with it. And the more transactions you do, the more knowledge you have.
Yep.
And you're just there better to help people, right? You can recall situations where you're like, oh,
I've seen this one before.
Oh boy, here we go. And this is a thing that's so important, and I'm sure people have talked about it. It's who is the other agent you're working with?
Yeah.
Some people are so like, oh, I'm going to get my client the best deal. And you're like, okay, well, you get nothing if you can't work with somebody.
Correct.
And I love it when agents are awesome and they're sort of respectful and they want to work it out. And in that way, you can kind of come together to create a solution together that works for both sides. You should never be trying to be so aggressive that you don't get your client the home, or you don't get them to sell the home. There's some people out there that are wrecking it for their people. Yeah, that teamwork is so important. I will tell you this. I mean, there are many times where I've had all sorts of others, but those great agents really stand out. And when you see that they're reaching out for another transaction, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
It was a pleasure to work with them the first time. The collaboration was noticeable and effort given on both sides.
Yeah.
And then everybody got to win.
I know. I see sometimes where agents get angry, and I get it. Some of us are emotional or this or that. And I've had agents tell me, they're like, oh, I'm glad you're not yelling at me. And I'm yelling at you. Why would I yell at you? Well, this happened and that. I was like, okay.
You're drawing back on their
we just have
experience.
to figure it out,
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I mean, I see a lot of crazy transactions where I'm like, wow, like a counter offer comes in and you're just like, whoa, who wrote that? I mean, it's so aggressive. And then you just have a conversation and explain okay, well, how about over here? And then you just go over there and figure it out. And yeah, I love when you can work with an agent, and there are plenty of great agents out here for sure.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Great stuff so far. If this is a value to you, we would ask that you would both like and subscribe and share this with anybody that you think it might inspire. So Chris, thanks so much for this. Let's keep going here.
Yes.
You have said very specifically, I'm not really a CRM guy. Do you even know what CRM stands for, by the way? Just for out of fun? Okay, cool. Yeah, I figured.
Tell me.
Client retention management?
I love it.
I don't know. I'm making that up.
Nice. Really?
It's something like that.
Oh.
Customer something, I think.
It's a system for helping follow up.
100%.
Right? It's putting all the information in there and it sends automated, it's been 1 week, call Georgie boy.
Right. We all just call it CRM because that's how we know it. So from a guy who is not a CRM subscriber or user, what would you tell someone that is? Or let's say your business decides it's going to grow, right? And let me say it differently, because often our business is the result of our own efforts, right? And so it doesn't take on a life of its own necessarily. That was silly for me to say that, but let's say
I don't think it was silly at all.
I appreciate that. Let's say your business does grow to a place where you struggle to remember who to call and when and why.
Yes.
I love the flyby, the seat of the pants, like I'm calling this lady today because she came to mind.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's a really organic way for you to feel great about caring for someone and being able to give empathy to someone, because you don't even know the situation necessarily or why you might call them. No arguments for me that you should be using CRM. I think for my own 44-year-old brain, I often forget who I should call and why. So I'm curious. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think at some point in time, I may have to go that direction. And this is a way to put it, I guess. Number one is being there for your clients, right? So if that can help you be there for your clients, even though I do like the more organic approach of someone's on my mind, I'm just going to call them. I think there could be maybe a happy medium. I could have a system and partially use it, or even though it tells me I could call more often than not, maybe. I just think I know a lot of, there's so many tools to help us be better.
Yeah.
And in the new age of AI, right, there are going to be a lot of changes. And I saw it recently where it was an open house situation. An agent has like a QR code that literally someone can go, like see her sign or whatever, go there
Yep.
to that QR code, and it will automatically, the person can go there, the client or customer, and it can go there and put in their information, and it will send an automated email about all the information about the home.
Yeah.
And so it's a really smart thing. I'm not sure where it is I saw that, but I mean, as we go along, there are going to be lots more
Yeah.
great ideas in different ways. And, at the end of the day, it all comes down to timing, right? We only have so many hours in the day to help people.
Yeah.
And as business grows, since I started, business has grown quite a bit. It is becoming more challenging to keep in touch with everyone. And I love keeping in touch with my people.
Right.
I do generally at least reach out, holidays, big holidays, but I do send birthday cards, which I know it's old school, but it's just a little thing that's like just a check-in, how are you doing? And
Yeah.
I generally will call on their birthday. And then I often will take them out to lunch
Love
for their
that.
birthday. And, some people will think, well, that's money and it's time. And I'm like, yeah, it's both. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the time. It's about loving my people that
Yeah.
love me.
Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't be where I am today without all these wonderful clients. Right.
Correct.
So it's just such a special thing to keep in touch with them. And I love it. I think some people, I don't know, see it as a headache or a hassle, following up with people. But I remember years ago, I was in management and, people don't want to follow up because often it's a negative thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, did you do this or that? But it can be a positive thing. Like, you did this great thing. I wanted to just reach out and say, hey, thanks so much.
Yeah. Celebrate it.
Yeah. A celebration as opposed to some negative follow-up piece. And yeah, people are so grateful and respectful of just that amount of time. And again, it might be partially due to the 55 plus. That's a big part of my business. They generally do have more time on their hands.
Sure.
So they're probably just excited, to hang out, have a delicious meal. Right.
Yeah. And I think people just love community and they love to be loved genuinely and authentically.
Yes.
And I think when you give that kind of love and service and care to people, they're going to receive that and then be very endeared to you because of it. And so I would say your approach is phenomenal and it's correct. It's loving the person first rather than, and again, I'm not picking on any business owners or other agents or other salespeople out there, but I think so many people get into business because, hey, I need an income for my family, right? And that's fine. That's a really noble reason to get into business. We're not non-for-profits here. We're generally selling a product or a service that provides income for our families that makes for a better quality of life, right? So that's a requirement. But I think your approach is different. It's nuanced. It's not 100%, 180 degrees different. You're still in this for the money as well. But I do think your approach is all about caring for the people. And so I think the need for a CRM really isn't there because you just have a genuine love for your customers, right? And so I think my challenge, if anything, is as you build more and more past customers, right? Past clients that love you, it's like, whoa, okay, at some point you're going to have to figure out a way to how to manage them effectively.
Yes.
Not so that they become dollars and cents, but so that they can still feel the love that you want to give them, right?
I agree. Yep.
Yeah. Lots of other business owners, myself included on occasion, right? It's we're trying to get systematic. We're trying to be very process oriented. And I think we can lose sight of the fact that it's a people business. And if we overthink what the value is, which the value is really relationship, right? Then I think it can, what do we do next? And you start to not see straight. And the faster you can kind of get back down to the lowest common denominator of loving the person on the other end of that call or the other end of the meeting or the other end of the transaction or whatever it is, the easier it is to make a difference, right? The easier it is to be successful. So.
I agree 100%. And I think it's an interesting thing because all of us have to make money. There's no way of living in this life without making money.
Right.
And it's important to make money so you can help your family and, own a home if, that's in the cards for you. The interesting thing for me is you mentioned love. I am a loving, caring person. I couldn't be different if I wanted to. And I sort of have this idea in the way in which I go through life. Some people might say it's kind of silly or sounds kind of funny, but in my mind, it's what would Jesus do? And you can, whether you're a religious person, a Christian, you don't believe in God, that's all up to you. But when I think of God, I think of love and I think of Jesus, and loving people is such a big deal, but you got to love yourself first. And I think some people don't love themselves. In order to love others, you have to also love yourself. And I think it's important to if there was more love in this world, I think it would be a much better place. And with my clients, again, I consider them family. I love them like crazy.
Yeah.
And that's, when someone can see that and feel that, it's real, right? There are people out there, they're not genuine, and you can see that so quickly. I think being genuine is such a beautiful thing. And I know you guys are genuine, and it means so much to be a genuine person and loving, caring. As silly as it sounds, it's one of the greatest things we could do is just love one another and be there for one another. And I love living here in Idaho because I just feel so much more love here. And I don't know what it is, but it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah, it's so well said. I think loving yourself is an interesting thing to unpack for just a brief second. My wife is writing a Bible study right now on the book of John. And she said, hey, will you go through a couple days of this for me? And that's not generally my cup of tea.
Right.
I spend a lot of time reading the word and studying, but I don't necessarily do the workbook kind of study method. Does that make sense? And so it was like hey, highlight this and circle that. And so I worked through it, and it was good. It was really good. And then I went and did the first day's study, and I'll cut to the chase. It was really about understanding the love that God has for us, right? Which I think is paramount to understanding how you could ever love yourself. It's because God created you and loves you so much. And out of understanding his love for us, then we could view ourselves as valuable and we have worth, right? And then if we look through that lens, then it's all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, well, then the other people that we get to interact with today also have value and worth, and they need empathy and love and respect. And so it's very, very well said. And it testimony to you, and just, I think your heart full of love, we'll use the word again. I think that's why people are so endeared to you, because it's very authentic. It's very genuine. And systems aside, when you're loving people well, your business is going to grow. And I think a lot of folks get into business and say, hey, how do I make a buck? How do I make this systematized? How do I work myself out of this job as fast as I can? And that's just not your approach. You're not opposed to having an efficiently run business.
No, I am very into that idea.
But you're certainly leading with love. And I think that's exactly why your business has been as successful as it has been.
So. Thank you, Gavin. Yeah, it's easy to love, right? I wish more people would think to love one another. And I believe it would be such a better world. It doesn't matter your business. It's just life in general, right? It's like being a parent, being there for your family, being there for your friends. If you love people, it's just everything so much easier. And, that's another thing. It's when you can put yourself in another person's shoes, which is not always easy, right? Some of us, haven't, dealt with, there are people that have dealt with a lot of really difficult situations. I don't believe I have, but some people would say, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But yeah, I think love is always the winner. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we can probably wrap it up there. That one of the things I pray on a daily basis, and I'm not necessarily the best at doing this, but that I would be willing to be a servant and be willing to pour it out on a daily basis, right? I think God gives us a full cup of daily bread that we then get to pour out on the people that are in our lives.
I love it.
Much easier said than done, but one of the things that I've been challenged with my whole life is being able to be interruptible, right? Not good at it necessarily, but I have a wonderful wife and 3 kids, and I own a business, and there's lots of ways for me to be interrupted on any given day, and it's how we choose to respond to those interruptions with a willing heart to love and serve, or not always the case, right? We're humans, and we're like, I've got this plan and this routine and this system, and I'm doing this today. I'm just not available. And I think the more, to your point, we can be interruptible and be servants, the better this world would be. I 100% agree with you. So,
well, that's the thing. It's easier said than done, right? We can say a lot of different things, but it's about doing. Yeah. But we can do it. Yeah. Maybe not every day.
That's right.
But as many days as we can.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
With the help of the Lord, we can do it for sure.
Amen. Yep.
Well, hey, thanks for being here again today. I really, really am honored by your time. I'm a student of your story, and there's a lot of what you do that I admire. So thanks for being a friend and a mentor to me. I appreciate that. Again, the goal of this is we want to make you attractive to the audience. If new business would come from this, that would be fantastic, right? So again, if this is valuable for you, we'd ask that you would both like and subscribe and share it with whoever you think it might inspire. Chris, let's say somebody wants to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, well, thank you first for what you said. I appreciate that. And I very much value our friendship, and you're a brother to me. We're family.
Love it.
Good news and great news.
Love it.
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is probably just my cell phone. So 208-760-9880. But any form of communication is fine with me.
Cool.
Yep.
People can follow you on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever they can find you.
Yes.
And
no more MySpace, guys.
No more MySpace.
I had to pull the plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in Chris's family, reach out to him. He'll take great care of you.
That's awesome.
Thanks for being here today.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys having me.
You bet.